Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I am just going to give 2 or 3 minutes for everyone to join in and get their IT equipment sorted. Then I will start with the presentation. So just as all the webinars goes, all the attendees will be joining in the mute mode, and I will do my presentation. And during the presentation, you can either type in the questions in your little question box, or you can put information in the chat as well. I will be real-time monitoring those 2 boxes. And if you have questions, you feel like you have to verbally communicate, and I will leave some time at the end of the webinar for everyone to actually speak to me if you have any questions. Right. So I'll just wait for a couple of minutes, then I will officially kick off the webinar. Okay, let me share my screen here. Then I will explain from the very beginning to first how to get this product. So just waiting for my screen to come down now. Right, cool. Okay, so when it comes to the ACC offering, there's a lot of terminology that's getting thrown around at the moment. So first thing, when we talk about ACC or ACS, we are talking about a family of Autodesk products that we can purchase that's being developed by Autodesk in this as part of the Autodesk Construction Solutions. So sometimes it's called Autodesk Construction Cloud. Sometimes it's called Autodesk Construction Solutions. So ACC and ACS essentially mean the same thing. One, it just means the overall solution, and the other one means the cloud. So one, we might already be familiar with this family of products, because if you have AEC collection, you will automatically get docs with your AEC collection subscription. And docs, essentially, it's your online document management system offered by the Autodesk Construction Solution. And then for the architects or engineers who need to use Revit collaboratively in the cloud, they might have this thing called BIM Collaborate Pro. So that product actually includes Autodesk Docs, it includes BIM Collaborate, and it includes BIM Collaborate Pro, which is Revit cloud sharing. So all the things you see in the Autodesk account can mean actually the license for a bunch of products in this one offering. So one thing we need to talk, the thing we need to talk about today is the ACC Takeoff. So when you purchase the product, in this scenario, the product you will see in the Autodesk account is the same product you will see in the ACC interface, which I will be showing everyone in a minute. So this is like every other Autodesk product. It's a user name-based product. You purchase the product, you will see the product inside your Autodesk portal. Then you have to use this either by user or by product to assign the products to the users that you intend to use this product. So this Takeoff is by itself a module inside your Autodesk account. Right. So now let's have a look at inside the Autodesk Construction Cloud interface. So this is, you notice on the top, it says Autodesk Construction Cloud. So that is what ACC means. So I am in this project I have created. I just give it a very simple name called Takeoff. So inside of this project, when I created a project automatically, I am the user inside the project admin members. So inside of the ACC, there's another thing we need to be very careful of is as soon as we add any user, the next thing we need to do is we have to enable the functions we like this user to use in this particular project. Because you can be assigning the licenses of everything to this user, but if you don't come to this screen, click on the members, click on the name, and enable the functionalities here, that user won't be able to use it inside this project. So this is completely separate from the previous Autodesk account. Autodesk account is you get the licenses you assign to the user, and that's the end of that step. But when it comes to enabling, adding the user and enable the functionalities inside of the ACC, it's all project-based. So although that user might have BIM Collaborate Pro license, if you disable that here, that user won't be able to use model coordination or design coordination inside of this particular project, right? So that's one thing we need to talk about. Second thing here, this list actually gives you a very good breakdown of what the previous offerings are. So docs, it's docs. That's very simple. Docs, it's docs. You buy docs, you get docs, and insight. That's it, right? And if you have BIM Collaborate Pro, you will have docs, model coordination, and design collaboration. So it's actually 3 products you can get if you pay for one BIM Collaborate Pro license. With Takeoff, you buy Takeoff, you will have Takeoff and docs. So that is just a little idiosyncrasies there. All right, so now I added myself into this project. I have docs enabled and Takeoff enabled, and that will be enough for today's demonstration. So I have those 2 modules enabled here now. The next step is I need to actually go to docs, because this is simulating a project where you actually have a folder where all the issued drawings go to. So here, inside of the projects, I can just create a subfolder, goes draw, publish, issued drawings, issued PDFs. Right. So inside, this is a docs thing. When you create any folders, click on the 3 dots to the right of the folder. You have this thing called permission settings. So you can add users to this specific folder if you want to. You can set them as either viewing only or manage. So now, right now, let me add my colleague in here. Wait a minute, because I haven't added Mark in the previous window. That's fine. But when you add them, you will be able to give them only able to view, download, and publish. And this gives a pretty good breakdown of what this person can do. So you have different levels of control over here you can assign to that person. Right, so now, things will be through here. Then what we need to do here is I will just upload some drawings. That is very simple. We just need to drag and drop from our Windows browser. Just drag it over here. So now I have 9 drawings. No, 15 drawings. Yeah? 10 drawings in here. They are getting uploaded and processed by this Autodesk Docs now. So that is when you have the existing drawings that is sitting somewhere inside of the Docs interface. That's what most projects will be when you try to do the takeoff on them. Right, so usually it takes a while for all those drawings to finish processing. So I think this time it went pretty quickly. 10 files successfully uploaded. So that's all good. That's all we need to do now. Next thing, when we try to do the takeoff, we need to go on top here, switch this from docs to takeoff. Right, so here we are in the takeoff interface. So when we try to take off some drawings that exists in the previous docs database. Here, there's actually a mechanism we need to follow through to get those files coming from the docs dataset into the takeoff, because you don't want the drawings to be lively changed. You kind of have to put a wall between what's happening in the docs and what's happening in the takeoff, because in the docs, everyone issues drawings very quickly. You might be 2 or 3 revisions behind, so you have the control of what sort of drawings and revisions you bring over from the docs environment, so you can actively keep a lid on the changes that's happening over there in the docs environment. Yeah, all right. So now when we go on to the files, you see here it's showing us the entire folder system back in the docs again. Then we just need to go into this issued PDFs, select all of them, and there is a button here called Publish to Takeoff Sheets and Models. Once we click on that, it will give us this, asking us what will be the name and what's the date. So let me just go Hospital Takeoff set. Yeah. Then we select today's date. That's all we need to do. We need to go to the next one. It says if the files include markups, it won't be included. So we're okay with that. We will continue. So now it's processing all the sheets, get them ready to be published. So you notice it has automatically recognized the drawing numbers. So I see 101 is still working hard, trying to get those numbers. Yeah, so we can just leave it to do this at the moment, wait till those circles still stop spinning. And we can actually come back to this later. So we go save for later. So we can come back and keep working on this in a moment. So the next thing I want to talk about is, if you are a quantity surveyor, you will be familiar with this thing called elemental breakdowns. So let me just, and in the US, you have the CS116, CS148, and in Australia, we don't actually have a very standardized way to do this, but every different builders will have different ways to do this cost analysis, different quantity surveyors. So usually they will be in the format such as this, right? You 16 divisions, so everything will be classified into the divisions. Then you have the subdivisions, you have the major divisions, minor divisions. Then you can go even more granular into the sub-minors. So it's this kind of structure, right? So we need to get this sort of definition into the takeoff so it will understand this classification system. So in the docs environment, if we go to settings, this is where everything begins, that we set up this unified classification module. So it's in sheet and models. Go packages, I think. In packages, there should be a settings button to take this classification system. Here you go. So it's in packages, settings. So first thing, select the matrix system. Next thing, this is how we get our own elemental breakdowns into the system. So here, if we go upload custom classification system, it would give us a template. So if we download a template, have a look. Not this one. Yeah. This is what a template looks like. So without going too deep into what this is, you will see it's following the same main divisions, major division, minor division, and a sub-minor. So you can take 4 levels of divisions. And here you have a number here and pointing out which level of division this is. So for example, this is pretty much the first code of the first division. It starts with A, then it goes to A10, then it goes to A1010, it goes to A1010.10. So it's expecting these kind of codes here. So right now, from row 32, this is how we going to actually quote unquote migrate our existing elemental breakdown structure into this piece of Excel. So I have already done something like this. So let me show everyone the format. Okay, yes. So this is what I have done, just basically copy and pasting. There's a lot of copy and pasting happening here. So this is what I was managed to get from the previous Excel that it's showing in this format. So it has you have a lot of Excel reformatting to do to turn this into this, right? But you have the descriptions, you have the codes, and that's what this thing is expecting. So what I find out is that this measure here, essentially it's a unit, it's not as important because we can set a unit again in the takeoff system. So at the end, I just left it blank. That's all good. So this is what I have come up with by reformatting the previous table, right? So then what we need to do is we need to upload this into this takeoff system so you will understand our own elemental breakdowns. So let me see, where should I go? Yes, unit class. So that is the unit format I will try to upload into the system. If I go open, it will read through all of that. So it's managed to read all the A codes, the C codes, the E codes, that's the substructure, interiors, and the equipment. So that will be the main area. We'll be doing the takedown following this. Right. So, and then I go save custom system. Then this thing it's imported into the system. You can see now we have unit format in here. So with this, we only need to do it once. Once you have this Excel, you can upload the same Excel into all your jobs. So this reformatting only needs to once because everyone is using different kind of systems for their elemental breakdowns. So that's why it's kind of like you have to do the work to get in the takeoff. All right, so let's go back to the sheet of models or the publish. Let's see if anything has showed up yet. The files. If we just go this, do this thing. All right. It's still trying to read the drawing numbers for those sheets. Let's see. Okay. I think both of them are ready. Okay. All right. So they are good now. Go next to titles and tags. So here we kind of need to teach the system where to look for the drawing titles. So what we need to do is we just click here, select all the sheets. We click this button here called the Draw Sheet Title Area. So this is like a building little OCR. It will be reading the title of every single drawing. And you just tell the system, here, please read all the titles from this specific area of the sheet. You go save and reply, and it will go through every single sheet and read the text in that area we have just outlined and fill in the titles. So you don't have to type anything. It will just automatically be recognized by the publish system. So it usually takes a while. Okay, now they're coming up. All right, that's all good. Let's just have a quick scan if they got everything correctly. All right, seems everything's fine. We just go publish the sheets. All right, cool. So now the sheet has been transferred from the docs environment into sheet and models underneath Takeoff. So what I have just done now, that is assuming that all the sheets you want to take off are already in the docs environment. So there will be situations you want to upload files directly from your C drive or company file server. So if you want to do that, you don't have to go through the publish sequence. You just come here and click upload files. The files will just be directly uploaded from your computer or the file server into the Takeoff environment. It will not have any changes for your docs documents. It will just purely, those sheets will be living in your Takeoff. So that is another way to do it if you are not trying to grab sheets from the docs environment. So that's another way to do it. All right, so now we have created all the sheets now. Next thing, we need to actually do some Takeoff, right? So first thing, let's talk about a 2D Takeoff, which is our bread and butter. So we just click on the sheets. Try again. Yeah, usually takes a couple of tries because we are talking about cloud computing now. Things are not in an instant, right? Things don't usually happen in an instant. All right, cool. So here it says create a Takeoff package to access Takeoff model. So here we already have some new words thrown at us, right? So what is a Takeoff package? So if you're an architect or if you're an engineer, a lot of times you need to issue trade packages, right? Sometimes even your drawings are structured in that fashion. If you're an architect, you have the A1000 series. That's usually your structural work, and that is your concreter. That is your concreter. That's they do that specific trade, so they get a 1000 or 10,000 series. They will be more than happy to know the scope of their work, and you will also have a furniture series, and then you will also have like a wet area sanitary package, and you will have like internal finish plans. So the reason we have all those different series of drawings because they split out by trades. Different series of drawings goes to different trades, and that's why we call the trade package documentation, right? So this package is very much similar to that. So for example, if you have internal drywalls, that is a trade package because the person doing the wall type 1 will probably be the same trade doing the wall type 2. It's just those walls will be constructed differently. But overall, it's the same trade that's doing all the work. So here, for example, I want to look at just the partitions around the wet area, for example. I can create this package. So I go, so there will be your internal drywall package, right? And now we can actually start doing some actual measurements and takeoff. So now we are in the drywall package. So when we start measuring on 2D drawings, the first thing here is always setting the scale, right? So if we move over here, the scale on the drawing says 1:200. Very simple. You just change the scale to 1:200. That's it. One click, that part is done. And it will always be remembered on this piece of drawing. So you don't have to do it again, even if you have a newer revision of this drawing coming in. Second thing, we switch over here, the takeoff types. So the package is your drywalls. The types is your wall type 1, wall type 2, wall type 3, right? So that is the type. So the language here is very consistent with how the architects split things up, right? You have the packages, trade packages, and you have the types. The types is your Revit types, the types is your wall types. Yeah. So now, for example, if we want to create a wall type, right, take our type. So let's go wide area. Or if you have a wall type, you can just call P8-05. That works as well, right? As long as you know what this means. And next thing, what we are interested in first is the linear measurement. We want to know how many meters of this wall there is. We click on linear. And we can change the color here, green, blue, what have you. It's purely just for legibility. And here we can have primary output, which will be the default output of this linear measurement, which will be meters, right? So if you have descriptions, you can put them in here as well, and the output. When we click on this bar here under the output, so don't know if you can see it, when the cursor hovers over it, the bar here changes color. So when we click on this bar, this pops up. So here we have another terminology here called output name. So this output, it's for example, right now, if we are just measuring length, this will be the length of the wall, right? And it's in meters, and because it's length, right now, this system is called a distance. So it means the same, it's a length measure, right? And the classification is what we have uploaded into the system just now. And so that will be interiors, interior constructions, partitions. So we don't have to go any granular if you want to, or you can go drywall, composite, all of that. So that's all up to you. Cluster, partition, let's do that, right? So it will be meters, right? Good. So that has been set up now. So after we set this up, we need to go save. And then now this type definition has been established. So the next thing to do is we click on that. Then when you move the cursor into any part of the drawing, it's starting to snap to your drawing elements. So now if we go to click, we just start tracing this wall. Yeah, so you notice all the snapping points will be active now. So when you finish, you press enter, and it will create this length measurement. So that's, again, this is the one-on-one of all takeoffs. You have linear measurements, right? So we don't have to stop here yet, because with this, we can further configure this measurement. So if we click on this little icon here, we can further edit this. And we can have additional outputs, right? So if we also have, for example, we want to know the surface area of this wall, we go square meters, and it will be, we just want to know how much paint it has to go on it. Then we go wall finishes, right? So now it's recognizing, once we are asking for area, needs to be distance plus the height of this wall. So this will be wall paint finish, wall paint area, sorry, right? So now, also in here, when we talk about the actual paint finish, it needs to know how high the walls are. Let's just assume it's 26. No, here it's in meters. We need to go 2.6. So once it understands that, yeah. All right. Once it understands that, it will give us the paint area. So something is not happy here. Let me have a look. The wall finishes. So okay, that. And it needs a classification, I guess. No. Do I have to retype this? Distance by default height. Just by height. Yeah. Once that's in there, that should work. .6. Right. Let me see. All right. And all right, let's keep moving on. Next thing is we can also make it calculate how many stats that needs to be into built into those walls. Because again, that's a simple calculation, because let's say every 600 mil, you put another stud in it. So that would be just the length divided by the distance of the stud, and you will get the actual number of the stud. So we can again create another additional output called a stud count. So that will be falling into the interior constructions, maybe partitions, and you can go into driver components. So that will be the distance divided by 0.6. So let's save this and see if it comes out any figures. Okay, it counted 70 stats for this simple wall. So this wide area partition set up. Next, we can just keep using this type to go around and trace all the wet areas inside this project. Then that goes on, the same thing goes on to all your different kind of drywalls inside this drawing, right? And next thing I want to show everyone is this can also do count measurements as well. So for example, if we want to know how many toilets are there inside this drawing, so because now we are no longer be in the drywall package, we can create a different package. So let's say this will be a sanitary equipment. All right, create this package. Then we can create this takeoff type, which will be in toilet, just toilets, right? And it will be a count measurement, and you can set up how this thing will be looking like. Then once we save this takeoff, click on this, and we can start go around ticking the symbols, right? And also this takeoff give us this thing called a symbol detection. So if we already have the graphic representation of what this thing we are looking for, we can use this symbol detection. So let's go to one without a text on it, and just carve out this bit of graphics saying this is what it looks like that we are trying to count. So now it will go through this piece of drawing, look for all the graphic representations of this. So it has detected 10 new ones, and it told us you have already measured those 3, because I have put circles on those previous 3. So we just tick the new ones so we don't double count. The 3 toilets we already ticked. Click on save. And now it has been added to the overall toilet count. So obviously we need to do it a classification like everything else. So this will be the count, right? Give it a classification. You go equipment, furnishings, fixed furnishings, window, fixed model. Give it a name, and that should have its classification. So you notice sometimes it does miss things that just require us to come here, reactivate this too, and give it a click. So now we have covered all of the toilets in this area. So everything in here, it's all being traced in this menu called inventory. Underneath the furnishings, if we click on that, all the 10 toilets are showing up here, right? So like if we go back to the previous package, drywall package, and the similar thing, the inventory will show up all the wide area partitions. So here you have the stat count. So if I just expand this, you see wide area partition, you have the stat count, you have the length. I will work out what the area is doing in a minute. But this one is working. So it's just one paint area is not working. I think maybe. I don't know what this thing's doing. Because the height, it's not there. So we can change it to 2.6. Then it's happy. There you go. Right. So that fixed it. And so all the inventories are being tracked inside this inventory tab. So that is, then the next thing, just for good measure, we can also do an area count as well. So probably we need to go create another package. Let's go, this will be the carpet. Right, so it goes to a different trade. We go to the carpet. So it's all the same from now on. Yeah, you create a trade package. You go area, carpet, carpet.01 area. Then you select this area too. So the primary output will be square meters. So you just go, all right, start takeoff. I wanna draw in all these offices or exam rooms. So they will all be on the carpet. Click on enter once you finish, and the area here will show up. And also, just like all the measurements, we need to give it a classification so it shows up at the right places. So interiors, interior finishes, floor finishes. So that's as much as you need to go. Carpet area, and save. So for some reason, this will always show up as square millimeters. Although the unit here, it's square meters, just ignore this. It will show up as square meters down here. Right, cool. So that is pretty much all the 2D takeoff being covered. Right, the next thing I will show everyone is this 2D takeoff, it's not new technology. Everyone has in the cost in the quantification industry would understand this 2D takeoff is something very basic. But because this is an ACC, it reads the BIM 3D models, so we can actually take off 3D models instead of the 2D PDFs. Right. So let me go to a different project which I already have a 3D model in there to show everyone how to do that. So this is the project where I already have 3D models inside the box. So if I go to the takeoff, I go to sheet models. So the difference between this one and the previous one is the previous one, I've only published some 2D drawings. 3D models takes a little longer than the PDFs to be published. That's why I have preempt and put a 3D model in here. So now I'm in the 3D models. I just need to click on it, and it will take me to the view of the 3D model. So right now, this is what the project will look like with all the different linked Revit model in it. So before we want to take anything off, we need to again select a takeoff package. So if I go to furniture, so right now I'm interested in, let's pretend we're interested in the tables and chairs, and I want to do a chair count of different types of chairs. All right, so it's reading the model now. Right, it's here. Right, so if we just look at it building this way, it's hard to peek into the building to find out where all the chairs are, where all the doors are. So conveniently, this takeoff gives you this button called a form clusters. So we can completely flatten this model into separate components like this, just by clicking this button. So now in this view, it's much easier to select things to be taken off, right? So this is the 3D takeoff that's actually the frontier of technology for the takeoff now, right? So right now, let me look at this chair. Let me click on this chair. Packages. All right, I've already taken those two off. So see here I have chair 01, chair 02. So the red one, it's the red chairs, and here I have the blue. I have the black ones. So let's just select another one. So this is a table, right? And by the look of it, I have a lot of those type of tables right there. So I just right click on any one of them. I go select all select all this. This is the type name of the table if that comes from Revit, right? So now I have selected all those tables. I can create another type to capture all this table, which is this size. So I can just go table, this size, and I go, this will be account measurement. And again, like everything else we always do, we need to go to the classification, give it to the right classification. So now on the furnishings, maybe I should have a loose furnishing, but doesn't matter. I'll do this, account measurement, that's it. So then I just save it. Now I have to select all. So click on that. Now it's detecting 12 of them are being selected. I just click OK, and it will be registered as this table, right? So, and the good thing is when you have a lot of things inside of this model, you don't know what you have taken off, what you haven't. You can just come here and click on this eyeball, and it will ghost out all the things that you have already taken off, so you can focus on the other things you want to take off. So what if the next thing I want to move on to those tables? Right click, select all of them, and I give it a new type, diameter table, right? So this does get a little bit tedious after a while because you have to constantly be selecting this classification, right? Equipment and furnishings, that's it. Save this. 12, 21 count, click on this blue circle, that gets registered into this type. So now those tables are taken off as well. You click on this eyeball, you go see it out, and you just keep going around and until the entire model is taken out. And because every time we create a type, we are adding them to the classification as well. So at the end, all the furnishings, they will be pumping out the correct number of things in here. So right now, if I'm interested in what is under the code E20, so here it's the list of every single one of them. And because you have a list here, you can always export them into Excel if you need to exchange data with someone else. Right, so now when I open up the Excel, it will give me the list. My Excel, yeah, right, it opened up on this screen. So it will give me the list of everything that is showing inside this menu system. Yeah, it has 179 furnishings. 21 of them, it's a table, tier 1, tier 2, you have a different type of table. So when you do takeoff in this kind of fashion, what really needs to be done is you come here, select the things you want to take off, then you create a takeoff type account for those things. So for example, here, if I want to take off every single one of those. You just right click on that, select all the turbines, create a new thing. So this probably shouldn't be in this package because it's not furniture anymore, but I'm just showing examples. Turbine, you go add details, you go to count. This will be a count measurement, and the classification, you turn that into equipment. So that will probably be, let me see if I have the classification for it. So equipment furnishings, do that. Yeah, then I just save this. Click this again, click on that. So now the turbines are getting registered under the furnishings as well. So if we export this again, you will see 54 turbines also included in the Excel output. Yeah, all right. And so that is the 3D takeoff in a nutshell. So the next thing I want to cover, which is the last thing I want to cover, is what happens when you have further revisions coming into this. Right, so here, because every time when you bring drawings from the takeoff, from the docs environment into takeoff, you need to do the issue. And every time when you do, sorry, not the issue, the publish. Every time when you publish the PDFs, it automatically pick up your drawing title and a drawing number. So when the system detects this is the same kind of drawing because it has the same drawing title, it has the same drawing number, and it will come over here and override that previous revision. So what I have just found, I have another issue of this drawing A102. Because this drawing got issued twice, the version here got bumped up to V2. So now if I click on A102, so it will ask me to start takeoff. So see, when I try to select pages, I've already got a note here saying that something has been updated in this package. So I click on firewall, see what has been changed. So on A102, with a new revision, it's telling me there are takeoff items on the previous version of this sheet. So you can either abandon everything and restart, so it would delete the older takeoff, or you can go move takeoffs. If I click on that, it will move the takeoffs I had on V1 to V2. So I can see this is what I have done on previous revisions. So I took off this, our toilets has been down, and the move over here, it seems like one of the walls has been moved in this takeoff. So all we need to do is we just select this and drag it to the right place to suit the new layout, and all the takeoff measures will be automatically updated. So that is how this system handles revisions. Because here is a very simple example, because only one wall got pushed out, and we just need to quote unquote ray trace the whole thing, and the figures get updated. Yeah, and the same thing applies to the 3D takeoffs. When things change, we can you will reselect the things that were selected on a rule base. Yeah. So, but still, when revisions happen, we still need to cast an eye, watchful eye over what has been changed, and we still have to involve some human judgment to accommodate for the changes in the project. All right, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about with takeoff. So let me just check if we have any questions. All right, so yeah, all right, no questions so far. And if you have any questions, feel free to put your hand up. I will unmute everyone here. Just wait a minute. Let me unmute everyone. What's the button for that? All right. I just unmuted everyone. So if you have questions, feel free to ask me any questions. Okay. Right. If we don't have any questions, I can just wrap this up. And if you want the videos of this webinar, just send me an email at support@cadgroup.com.au, and I'll email you the video link. All right. Seymour has a question. So let's see what Seymour wants to know. Okay. I think you have to unmute yourself, Seymour. Yeah. I unmuted you. I think, do you have a mic? All right, just type your questions in the question box if you have any questions, Seymour. Good. All right, cool. All right, seems everything's fine. And yeah, all right, cool. So I will wrap up the webinar now. And if you have any questions, send me an email at support@cadgroup.com.au, and I'm happy to discuss this further. All right, thanks for everyone's time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.